Yes, before we start, from the 40th Parallel, Episode 7, I want to announce newly released Knowledge of the Nomo, Dogon Decoded, available at rossben.com. Now, without delay, special from the 40th Parallel, Susquehanna Alchemy, hosting Ross Ben.
Ross Ben, live and direct from Susquehanna with my good brethren, Mystic Mike Wan. This is episode 7 from the 40th Parallel. I'm lounging, I'm lamping on the mystic stone works that we think is a remnant of a monolithic structure. Yeah, so coming with episode 7, a tour of Mystic Lancaster. We got an all-star lineup with us. Good brother Jesse, my elder, Allah Alasui, Tyson Gravity of Tyson Gravity Media, and being hosted by Mystic Mike Wan. So yeah, strap up, get ready, because we're ready for something. Thanks.
So it says the last remaining Conestoga Indians were held here in protective custody in 1763. So this building on the left was the old jail, and I've read it more specifically stated that it was the Susquehannocks, whereas Conestoga as a term could refer to a variety of people. But nonetheless, they were put in the jail cell to protect them from these Paxton boys, which are said to have come from Harrisburg. And they were able to get into the jail, open the doors, and more or less there was a massacre. I'm not certain how many people there were, but this is where the location happened. You can appreciate kind of how it's laid out. What's nice about like a city that's not really built up, you can still see skylines. So look at that building right there at that peak. We've got that point, and then we start looking up this road, and you can see the different like if you're open to the idea of the Tatarian architecture pulling down scalar energy like that. And this road, this is where it all comes from. From that centerpiece, this road then splits into 3. And these are the only 3 roads that go from the center, which is where their alchemical ritual took place, all the way, and it links on the river. It links on 999, it links on 23, and it links on Columbia Avenue, 462. But they all start right here, and that's where it splits. And you can see that's where the energy flows.
Wow.
So you would say King Street is the urban demarcation of a major ley line.
Totally.
We're on a major ley line right here. They're tapping the earth grid.
It's I don't know. It's at least an artificial one tapped into that center right there.
And that's why we see the buildings with the architecture. The scalar architecture.
Wait till you see the church.
All right.
This brick and the brick on that part of that building there are the same. It's older.
Okay.
Everything built around it is newer. You can see there's the different webbing in between the bricks.
Yes. So that's some of the original architecture of Lancaster, or just some older,
That's older than what's around it.
I got you.
As well as this tower, but the rest of that is different.
Right.
The tower built on the stone with the old blood red bricks, different than that. Same as that building there.
Yes.
If not direct, like 1 degree of separation away from the Church of the Brethren.
Okay.
Because they're all from Germany and Switzerland.
Okay.
And this was their first Reformed church. Founded in 1736.
1736. Got that rose, huh?
Red rose.
Red rose.
Looks like a boss. That's not.
77.
Nice one, right?
Those waves.
What's the denomination here?
Everything.
Everything? Like the
Except
Unitarian?
everything.
Like the Unitarian piece, okay?
Yeah, here's a marker over here. Yeah. Church of United Brethren in Christ. So it's in the Brethren movement. It's in
Okay.
like one of the three-piece churches, as they're known.
Huh.
What year did we see it in Wissahickon? Was it 1728?
1723.
23. So that was like 10. That was 10 years before this.
10
People
years.
were there, and then
All right.
they started coming. Like when Beisel came, and they all.
Right.
This is where they came, and this was their church. Now we're going to go to the church of the people who ran the show.
You get this, Rock?
I'm getting it. So we're at Duke and Orange.
Look at those Corinthian columns.
Yeah.
Huh.
Look at that church. Oh yeah, we had that church right there, and those church there. There's another one right there. They're all
And this is at Duke and Orange.
Is it popping? Didn't I bless you with some of that before? Some flat.
Oh, wow.
Some flat.
Yeah.
Charles Ross, singer of the Declaration of Independence.
Wow. So even on the church
on the
is
church.
a war memorial. Dang.
Right.
On the church.
On the church.
And who is St. James? Do you know any significance of him? Like,
Not off the top of my head, but I remember going into it. St. James. There's two St. Jameses in the Bible. So like St. James the Elder and St. James the Younger.
okay.
And I believe one of them was a disciple of Christ.
Huh. Didn't St. James? No, it's St. John. Provided revelation.
St. John, I believe, is John the Baptist.
John the
St.
Baptist.
Oh,
John
I
is
believe St.
referred to.
James. No, I'm forgetting.
And so
What is this building?
George Ross.
You know?
Yeah, it's the Hamilton Club. So it's like a private club, primarily. That's the courthouse, which we saw down the street. So this is like a dinner club for primarily attorneys.
Huh.
I wonder when this building was built.
Yeah. Or same year as the treaty. But this is the who's who.
All right. St. James Episcopal.
Check the column in the arch. Is that the sign to what?
Yeah.
Columns in the arch. Ancient ass door.
So Lancaster is a city of cemeteries, and there's a lot of cemeteries, larger cemeteries, really nice, beautiful cemeteries in terms of like how they're laid out. But this tiny one here, this seems to be the real, the favorite sons of Lancaster, the lesser known ones, the major players within the Revolutionary War and the Declaration of Independence. And so we could just walk around and look at some of these.
Okay, so he was the one who didn't bring charges against the Paxton boys for the massacres that they are attributed to them.
Who presided in coroner who presided. I don't know the full story of what happened to the Paxton boys, but this was an insider of it, undoubtedly. You're right. He's the coroner who presided over. Like, you know, it makes me think of how every celebrity death has that same coroner.
So when we study Philadelphia, Washington Square is like the 0 point for, and that's at 6th and Walnut, okay, in the old city near where, you know, Independence Hall is, where the Declaration, Independence, Constitution, all that was signed, right? And they got like tens of thousands of war remains from the War of Independence buried there, right? And the memorials to the Congregation of the Dead. And it's like the 00 reference point for what they would call the Congregation of the Dead. You know, this ancestral army of soldiers that fought in all the different wars, you know. And from that point, they've gridded out the mounds and geodetic, geomantic significant points with their war memorials.
Yeah.
You know, so we could see we're at a very critical point in the Congregation of the Dead as far as the global mound matrix and the ley line grid, you know. Go ahead.
How often do you see in Philadelphia these, I don't even know, would you call that a sarcophagus?
A sarcophagus?
Yeah.
Nah,
I don't think I've seen any of these in
Nah.
Lancaster. This is the only place I've seen them.
No, this
isn't
rare.
in a floodplain. Like, this is
Right.
what you'd expect to see in New Orleans.
But we do break it down in Free Your Mound, and Your Mind Will Follow, how this is probably, in terms of geomancy, this is an archetypical church occupation of a prior indigenous sacred site, you know, where part of the formula of those churches is that, you know, of course they'll have some tower of power, you know, for broadcasting and receiving celestial energy, as well as burying ones of their bloodline, ones of, you know, the colonist bloodline on top of the indigenous buried there, you know. And then they'll feed their ancestors, right, and put up art that kind of defiles or denigrates, minimizes the indigenous ancestry, you know, and that's how mounds are occupied, you know, when we say free your mound. So, but look, this thing got look at these obelisks, you know, I see 1, 2, I see 2 of them.
That grotto is normally in action, but it's sectioned off right now.
Okay.
So that's like a holy of the holies. That's the way how
the inner court.
Right.
The court within the court.
Right, through the 2 towers.
Okay.
Going right through there. And yeah. See that?
Shipping.
So this guy's one of the founders of Princeton.
Huh.
That's what it says right there.
Shipping. Joseph
He was the
Shipping.
chief burgess of Lancaster at the time of the Paxton Massacre. They keep making reference to the
To this
Paxton
Paxton Massacre, man, this thing is significant, huh?
Right?
Probably the namesake of Shippensburg,
Without a doubt.
where there is also a very old building similar to Millersville and
Huh.
one of the state schools that is currently part of the Pennsylvania State.
I like how they kind of
So is Millersville
we got
Millersville University is here.
Yes.
my
Right by
house.
where Mike-
My house was a block away from Millersville University.
Okay. Huh. All right. Wow.
Shippensburg
It's-
is the western part of Cumberland County, right across the river.
So, okay. Wow. All right, because when I taught high school, we sent a lot of students to Shippensburg and Millersville. You know, these state
The
schools.
state schools, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Bloomsburg,
Yes.
Kutztown.
Yes.
What are the other? Slippery Rock?
Yes.
Died 1850.
And you say all of these are land grants from not all of them?
No, those aren't the land grant schools. That's
Okay.
the state system is the land grant schools.
All right.
So what the land grant schools are, like, you watch college sports?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the Big Ten schools?
Yes.
The Big Ten schools, they're all kind of similar. They're the flagship universities, but they're also all land grant schools.
Okay.
So what the land grant schools do is it's weird. The way they're legally granted is strange, where for any issue, if they want to argue they're a public school, they can get the advantages of being a public school. If they want to argue that they're a private institution, they can get the advantages of being a private institution. So essentially, they're not receiving direct state funding.
Right.
They've received the land, and it was supposed to build agriculture schools and stuff like that.
Yes.
But now the scope has gone way different than that.
Yes.
And what Penn State is currently doing, Penn State, they're using all that land, and they're starting to build like solar panels and stuff on that land. And so they're coming for the energy sector in the state. They've already taken, all the big universities have already taken over the medical industry. Like
Right.
where I'm from, all the Catholic hospitals and stuff are now Penn State hospitals.
Right.
The University of Pittsburgh has taken over a large section of the hospitals.
Right.
I imagine where you're from, Temple and Penn
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
taken over most of the hospitals.
Yes.
So
And-
the universities have turned into the churches.
Huh.
And like along those lines, you have people making these pilgrimages to these universities every year for the football games. All
Right.
the alumni come back. They make
Right.
the pilgrimages to these places that are the new churches, essentially.
Right. With that ball worship. Because we started talking about baseball.
You got a lot more ball to talk to you
All
about.
right. Oh, you ain't got the balls for it on camera. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. So when I talked about in episode 5 or 6, whenever it was. Oh, it was the one with the boulder. It was the one, yeah, it was the one with boulder. When I talked about Mount Gretna shooting, then I went into the Coleman family. I talked about a really strange experience which I had.
Yes.
This is the patriarch. This is where it all began. You can see all the stuff he did. But what I find what's interesting is we talked about James Buchanan. So his daughter was engaged to James Buchanan, and then she killed herself.
Wow.
And James Buchanan's not buried in here, but this guy is.
Right.
This is, if you want to be memorialized in Lancaster, this is where you want to be buried.
Right.
If you're in, but James Buchanan.
And that's why you see a marker for James Buchanan. Like, yeah, he was buried nearby.
Yeah.
He didn't make it. He didn't make the cut.
This entire row right here. These are all the Colemans.
Huh. Wow. Right next to the church.
Right.
You see that, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
An elevated.
He had to be a pretty powerful dude back in those days.
Huh.
At one point,
So
he
he
was
did
the
the video
wealthiest man in
Yeah, this is him.
Oh, damn. I didn't even know. Wow.
Yes. Yes,
That's
this is
crazy.
him.
I didn't know that you did that video. And that's why my friend wanted to come, because I sent him the video. And he lives in Lancaster. And he's like, I don't know none of this stuff. I'm like,
Yeah, this is him.
With the chance? Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
What's up. Yeah. I appreciate that one.
Yeah. All right, are you guys ready to go hit on the river?
Yeah.
Here's one that he needs to see.
Okay.
Oh, Rittenhouse. What?
What?
David Rittenhouse.
What?
That is significant.
That is significant.
Because that's where we went. When we were in Philly, we went to Rittenhouse Township.
Named for David Rittenhouse.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, it was named for one of his predecessors.
Okay.
Right? But David Rittenhouse, if I remember correctly, he was like America's first astronomer.
All right.
And he was the one who, I guess you would say, verified Benjamin Banneker's ephemerises.
Okay.
To say like, yo,
That's what he's doing.
yeah, he compared them to star charts they had from Europe, and was like, oh yeah, this is a line, you know? Yeah.
You want the synchronicities to keep coming?
Yeah.
Mike, tell them what's the queen that's in the air in Lancaster right now?
Queen Esther.
All right, come look at her.
What does that say?
Esther Rittenhouse Barton.
What is that? 1800 to 1869. So this
Bartons.
Yes.
Who are
What-
these
What
Bartons?
was the year of? That was in the mid 1600s, late 1600s. Rittenhouse, the town which we went to.
Rittenhouse Town was founded in the early, 1680s.
1680. So this David Rittenhouse was born in 1760. So he's
Right.
like
He's
generations,
three generations down.
later.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he, like I say, he was America's first
Right,
astronomer.
Right. This is that family line.
His great grandfather established the first paper mill in the United States.
Yeah.
The first paper mills were established in Rittenhouse Town. Yes.
Yeah, that one's 17. What?
1760 something.
Okay, how old are these Rittenhouses? This is the Rittenhouse section. It
Right.
appears. How old are these?
1798.
1798.
Birth or death? Can't tell.
That's
I think-
death.
Yeah, that's death.
Birth was 1790 something. That must have been a young. You know,
Yeah.
they buried the whole family.
This one, there's nothing left on. How old is that?
Right.
I could say 13th day. So that's a
13th
younger
day.
child. Because we saw some back there that were 11 and 12 years old buried.
So that's interesting that David Rittenhouse was buried out here.
In this cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's significant.
Yeah. So they must have fled the city. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the vibe of Lancaster, though.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's so many people on the run in Lancaster.
Huh.
That's the vibe.
Right, as you say, you mentioned that the Mennonites have it like a refugee society, but you know that was what Lenape Hoking was.
Exactly.
Going back
Exactly.
ancient times.
Right.
This has been a place of refuge for really, if
Always been.
if my tradition, my chronology is correct, going back to Atlantis.
Intersection. This is King Street.
Okay.
And no, this is King Street. This is Queen Street. I get them
All right,
confused.
King Street.
This is the exact epicenter of the layout of Lancaster City.
All right.
Where we're looking across the street, that building right there, the lighter brick where it says Lancaster City Visitor Center.
Yes.
That's where the first Masonic temple in Lancaster was.
Huh.
It's in that building.
Lancaster Visitor Center.
And you could see the central market, which is right the deeper red
Right.
building.
That's
Now,
what we were just up on.
We were just up on that. That's the oldest continuous farmers market. But from what I understand, it's built on top of what has always been a marketplace.
Okay.
Like the people that lived here always this is where the marketplace
Came to
was
meet.
to go and exchange. All of this says underground tunnels underneath that, underneath the Masonic temple, to the jail and to the prison, which is probably a couple blocks off the side. Now this spot right here, this is where the old courthouse was. We're standing on the spot where the Iroquois Confederacy met with the governors of the different colonies in 1744.
Okay.
There should be a marker, I would imagine, that says that. They may have taken it all down and replaced it with this. This is said to have been erected in 1784 or 1874. Excuse me, right after Civil War. But this is the location of the old courthouse, and they have a replica of that building in a park right by Buchanan's old home.
What does Gettysburg have to do with Lancaster?
It's right up the road. Those were all major war sites. You got Gettysburg. Lancaster is like in the middle of Gettysburg. Then you have, if you go down 30, you'll end up at the Brandywine, where all the Brandywine war sites are, just right down the road. So it's all along the river. The river plays a major part in this whole slip.
In the and which war are you referring to?
The Gettysburg?
Civil War.
The Civil War. All right.
So what's interesting is so seemingly there shouldn't be any connection between or like direct connection. Like yes, it's all like we're in the general area between, but there shouldn't be any connection between the Gettysburg address and Lancaster City, because
I think the Gettysburg Address was just, you know how they just like to go memorial.
Right.
Just like
Like
to
that's
go to
it.
old
Right.
Do their announcements like Biden did something at Gettysburg earlier this year.
Exactly.
Wow.
Well, Gettysburg is that key spot. The point I was going to get at, this is how Lancaster kind of roundabout really connects with it. Jesse was talking about this earlier about like the border of how far north the Confederate Army came up into Pennsylvania and where they hit in Carlisle. They tried to go east also, but they were stopped at the Susquehanna River. They were going to come straight through Lancaster City and then on to Philadelphia. But we're going to go and see this when we go to High Point. That is where it's called the burning of the bridge. And they burnt this bridge that crossed the river, and then they're like, all right, we can't cross. The Confederate Army said, we can't cross, we can't go east. Let's go back to Gettysburg, and we're going to figure out what our next step would be. And then the Gettysburg battle happened. And then in Gettysburg, it's where the tide of the war changed from from the south winning to the north winning. It's where Abner Doubleday became kind of a household name, because he's said to be the MVP for the Union, because
this is Abner Doubleday.
He was said to have been able to hold off the advancing Confederate forces until he got his reserves a couple days later, and he shouldn't have been able to have done that, but through his cunning and strategic play, I guess, he was able to do that, and then that's when everything changed. But that's, we've got a connection right there. We've got a connection with the
and this is the same Abner Doubleday you said he founded baseball?
He is said to have invented baseball, and he is said to have invented it in Cooperstown, New York, which is the source of the Susquehanna River, but that has been proven to be an inaccurate statement, but nonetheless it kind of stuck.
Right.
It's known as the Doubleday myth. And so baseball fans, they laugh, it's kind of funny, but it's not taken seriously. But when you put it in an esoteric context, then suddenly oh, this is why it's taken seriously. This is why.
Right.
Doubleday is also said to be the guy who took the first shot of the Civil War. In Fort Sumter in South Carolina. He was said to be on the boat, and he's the guy who shot it.
Took the first shot.
Yeah, he's the one who started.
He orchestrated the Civil War. He was at the beginning and the end,
Everything.
Or the beginning and the turning point.
Whoever this Doubleday guy, and he was the head of the Theosophical Society.
Wow.
The president who replaced H.P. Blavatsky. So, whether or not he's an actual person or a variety of people, he is who everything is given credit to.
And what's his when was he born? And
well, he would have probably, let's say, was 40 years old in the Civil War. So if that's 1860, so that let's say 1820. I mean, that's just me ballparking.
Right. Yeah. Just to get an idea. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sir.
That's the St. Germain hookup.
Huh.
Like when you start to see like a variety, like why is one person credited with so much? Look at this building right here. So that's like an original structure which they built that area on top of.
Yeah.
Huh.
James Buchanan plaque is right there. Across the street.
Yeah, what is it? Can you see what it says?
See if I can zoom in on it. James Buchanan, 15th President of the United States. I can't.
Buried at Woodward Mills Cemetery. Something Fire Bluffs to the south on Green Street.
It's telling you where
Just tell him where he was buried.
11
Not
blocks.
say no achievement of his presidency
Just kinda like,
announced.
this is where he stepped out of.
Just like James Buchanan, he's buried down the street, huh?
5 blocks.
Damn. They gave my man no recognition. Right, so because you say historically he's recognized as the worst president ever, huh?
Because he's the one, it was under
He's
his
responsible for the Civil War, huh?
That's what he's given credit for. You asked about the Fulton. Like, so Robert Fulton was an inventor, and then, you know, his family also owns a lot of Lancaster. This is the Fulton building. What is that? Is that 610, would you say? Did you see that guy up ahead? Did you see that guy? 7-footer.
Huh.
Oh, you'll see everything around here.
So you got the villain responsible for the beginning of the Civil War, as well as the man who initiated the first shot of the Civil War, as well as the hero of the turning point of the Civil War, all memorialized right there in the center of Lancaster. That's correct?
There's an implied Doubleday. Doubleday's name was not written anywhere.
Abner Doubleday, okay.
But Doubleday's the guy behind Gettysburg, and
Gettysburg, and then
so
we had
it's like an implied level.
All right.
Doubleday sounds like an interesting name.
Doesn't it?
It does.
Like a myth.
Like,
Yeah.
Like I think about that.
And even like a manipulation of time, like alternate days or 2 day.
2 stories?
That's what I
2
was...
day. Like how 2, you know, them say 2 day, but it's really always 1 day. But 2 day is 2 is a double day.
On a hill in the middle of a forested area, and it's called Governor Dick's Tower. And I'd say maybe it's like 50 feet high, maybe 60 feet high, and it's like a cylinder, and you could go on the top and you have really nice views. It was built in the 50s. Modern people always just assume Governor Dick refers to Dick Thornburg, the guy who was the governor back during 3 Mile Island, who then leapfrogged from being the governor of Pennsylvania to the undersecretary of the UN. So, you know, someone's stock rose. But regardless, so who Governor Dick is very much like shrouded in mystery. It's very clear that it's known as Governor Dick's Tower. It was built in the 50s, and Governor Dick is he was, I believe, he was a slave within the Coleman enterprise, if you will, and he was a furnace master. But there was something about him which made him very, very special. And so we're not certain what the special is. Like some descriptions are he had a personality which was so magnanimous that everyone knew who he was, whereas others was that he was a very mystical being who had great powers. Nonetheless, Governor Dick this gentleman is who this tower is named after, built 200 years after him. There's just scant records of this Governor Dick in the history books, but nonetheless, it's built after him. He eventually escaped and went to Maryland. That is the best understanding of what happened to Governor Dick. But the mystery, at least in my opinion, was like, who is this gentleman? What made him so significant? We're going to take this exit, yes. And then why would it be 200 years later that there is something erected in his name, yet there's no indication as to who or why? In doing research into Governor Dick is when I came across the detail of the John Wilkes Booth story, because I believe some of the people who were looking for Governor Dick were involved within the Christiana riots. We're going to turn right up here.
Say that one again, Mike.
So there were records of, I guess, slave hunters or escaped slave hunters, and they were looking for Governor Dick, and I believe that those were the same people who went down to the Christiana farm, which Tyson was just telling us about.
Exactly. Got ran off. Excuse me. We won that one.
Won that one?
We won that one.
Okay.
They got ran off. That's why they left in a rage and they couldn't. It was like they left in a rage because they got ran off and they could never live that down.
And that's what got John Wilkes Booth so angry.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And that's why he swore
His jaws got tight.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't get no lynching on or nothing.
Right.
Defending somebody's generals and all that crazy.
Because we were set up for all that up here. You got to figure that the on the other side of Oxford is the Mason-Dixon line.
Yes.
That's where Lincoln University's at down there.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. How Lincoln University
is a land grant school.
No. Land grant school. That land was actually my family's land before. That's why we're out here in this area, my family. That land was actually my family's land. And my father is a genealogist. He does the genealogy for the Chester County and different areas out there. He puts families together. But he has all the documentation from the courts, from the whole court case. He has the entire court case on paper, right here, right at my house.
Wow.
In the file.
You that I wanted to do when you first came.
Right.
That's this man's mission.
What's that?
When he first came here, I told him that I wanted to. Penn State University's land grant, University of Pennsylvania. They're the ones who stole the land from the Lenape.
So land grant is a code word for land grab.
Land grab, yeah. They got the land for what seems to be trinkets and beads, similar to what Manhattan was purchased.
Well, they gave us a promise at the gate of Lincoln University. There's a church with a burial ground, just like we left, with Civil War, all types of historic names that if you did research you would find out that they were the movie Glory. You know, those people that were in the movie Glory that fought in those same battles. All of that is right there at the foot or at the gate of Lincoln University, and that's all my family.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay now.
Yeah. So when we were just going through that, I was thinking to myself, wow, I wonder if we have time to go down that way. I'm not sure.
Check out this house, which is up on the right.
I don't know if we got time to go down there.
No, but that's a whole nother day. That's a whole nother day. I'm out here with Ross Ben on a great hike up here in the Lancaster County area, looking at historical sites, mystical historical sites. Stay tuned. You will be seeing this later. Almost like you can see images that have been smoothed out. That almost looks like maps, or I don't know, just, you know how we were looking at the cemetery and some of the words were just smoothed out?
Yes.
That's what that reminds me of. Like it could have been something else. Or like you said, a different reason.
here, which has been cracked off. I was just telling Roz that this is the first time I've ever been out here that the water's this high. Normally we could walk out to the middle of the river on these stones.
Wow.
Like it goes that far out. But I think we should be able to see some more once we get out here. When you're out here during the summer, and the whole thing is filled with these lines.
Huh.
You see some of those lines? And they will stretch for like 30 feet, and you could see the same line on different rocks, but the same line.
What is that? What formed that?
Right. That does not look natural to me.
That's when we say, like, yeah, man, something with Atlantis. There's something about this land, 12,000 years, 13,000 years. Recession of glaciers and
that's when they say the Chesapeake was formed 12,000 years ago.
Wow. So I wonder if the Chesapeake is is where the impact crater is. The impact crater of, like, you know.
Yeah, like how? Well, the impact crater. The story they tell us about the impact crater is like 30 million years ago. Like they're telling us on a very different timeline. So you can start to get an idea of like the curvature of some of these stones and like feel how solid it is. And you can see a little bit of like the patina.
This is like the stone you showed us at the house.
Exactly. You see the straight line right here?
Yeah.
And how it keeps on going?
Huh.
You can see the straight lines here. Let's see.
So I wonder if this was
A monolithic
remnant,
site.
remnant of some monolithic architecture.
Yeah.
That's what I always think.
That's
I
what
always
I'm
think
thinking.
it's a spot. When you go and you'll see like there are these like, perfectly shaped, like this is where a human being wants to soak.
Yeah.
I would sit right here.
And just get some water.
This used to be tropical.
Yeah. It looks like a natural throne. Something. Yes.
Go ahead, start that over.
So the line begins right here, right?
Yeah.
Goes up and over right there. And they're just perfectly straight. As if someone had a straight edge. I was just drawing right across.
Yeah, that's so intense.
Are they building a bridge?
Yeah, they looking to go somewhere closer to the water.
All right.
They're working.
They're working. I like that. I was hoping to find some of those drill holes, but I can't find any with just this limited sample that we have.
Right. We came, it has been raining for like the last 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, this is high.
And it's the new moon today.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is on this side of the earth. It's probably a high tide too. Yeah, man.
Yeah. I got a nice mask, man. I had a nice piece of sycamore like this in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Nice natural hole for the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Got some hair.
Perfect drill. But I can't imagine what was going to have a strong enough bit and not leave any. If you've ever drilled something hard, you're going to leave marks.
Right.
There aren't any marks from it. Like, it looks like a core sample. When I see that, I'm like, oh, that's a core sample. But there's no other indication. Like, why are they taking the core sample? And how
And who took it?
Who did it also? How old are they? I don't know. I'll just keep my eye out and see this.
And you say we're about a mile from 3 Mile Island.
Yeah. If you go look, if when you pause it, you can go look on your GPS and you'll see where we are relative to 2 Mile Island. You can start to get like those you can start to see.
Is that a dam or a natural fall?
I've never seen water here before.
I'm talking about up there.
Oh, up there, I don't know how that was formed.
bridge up there. Here's another one of those circles right here.
Sure is. That's so perfect, though.
It's so perfect. And then look right here. This is like what you want to do right here.
Is that not somebody's foot?
That's a footprint.
That's a footprint.
That's a footprint.
Hey, Ross, you gotta come now.
You gotta come see this. You know what you do right here. This is the lounging spot, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, could you imagine just spending your days just lounging?
This is on the river.
This is on the river.
And is that a footprint?
That it's a footprint or an 8?
Either way, that's not something that you see in
No.
nature or the normal.
I mean, it does look like a footprint, except for both sides are equal. You know what I mean?
Right there. See a nice little throne.
Does that look like a foot? Or
Wow, look at that. Look at
this.
that.
You see this foot over here?
Footprint.
So he jumped down and said, "Can't you imagine just sitting here
Yes.
perfect
Yes.
like this
Yes.
all day? It's a lounge chair.
Like this whole thing is like that. You can imagine
This is really like a really comfortable lounge chair,
Huh.
smooth and everything."
Yes.
every once in a while the sun hits it perfectly that this river becomes bright green.
Wow.
Like not bright green, aquamarine.
Like a luminescent.
Like Caribbean blue.
Yes.
Blue green.
Huh.
And the wind is always, or the air has a special quality whenever, I've seen that happen twice. And I always imagine that is a foot. Yes, yes, that's one of the drill holes. Good eye.
Even the fix for the stones itself are very sharp.
Yeah.
They were done a long time ago. It looks like a sharp section like worn by wood.
Like you sit in that, that's where someone would lounge.
Huh.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll lounge in it for you.
Yes.
Like, look at this. Just imagine spending your days right here on the river, just kicking back.
Getting grounded, chill.
Yeah, this would be the sort of thing that you'd want to poison with the radioactive material.
Huh.
Right? The Susquehanna was known for its healing waters, the springs of Susquehanna. So,
And that's the original name of
the Seine
oh, in Europe.
in Europe. So
That you
this
say
was-
has a word sound related to Susquehanna.
right. It was called the Susquehanna, and this is called the with the fish. You see it with the fish?
Oh yeah, I was looking at that other bird.
So the springs of the Susquehanna, which is kind of near CERN, it was a known ancient healing destination.
Huh.
And you would go, people would travel all over to go into those healing waters.
Huh.
So my sense is, was this one of those places as well?
There's stuff like that.
Right, because it looks like
Natural built lounge chairs.
You said it was located near what?
CERN.
CERN? Oh, CERN.
So it's on the French side. It's now known as Saint Germain.
Huh. You said you saw a drill hole
Right down
over
there in
here?
the water. Tyson will point it out.
Oh yeah,
right
what?
It's perfect.
Look at that. How ancient is that?
It's a perfect.
How
circle.
ancient is that?
Remember when we were out here a second, like how easy it was to come out? And that the water was high too. When the water's low is when it's spectacular.
Yes.
There goes your eyes.
how much do you think this rises to earth change versus we just caught it high tide? Because it is a new moon, so the sun and the moon are like right there, right above us. So I'm sure that's pulling.
Yeah.
And it's been raining for about the last 3 days, you know?
The water, this river floods a lot.
Huh.
So this is within, definitely within.
It's floodplain.
Yeah.
It's not surprising to see it at this height.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's not surprising, though slightly disappointing.
Hey, this is still a joy though.
It's still a joy.
And we got we got one of the drill holes. We got a footprint.
Yeah.
Got a lounge chair.
Here, I don't know if. Yeah, look at this. Natural fire pit.
Did you get the other one over there too? It's the same as the one
I'm
over there.
gonna get that one on the way.
You got
On
two
the way
fire
forward. 2 fire pits, a lounge. You gotta catch me in the lounge, man. Hold on, I'm gonna pause it.
That if a flood moved a stone this size, it would have been so catastrophic. The entire landscape would have signs of it, and there's no signs of a flood back there.
And Tyson, you heard Mike Science that this is one of the oldest rivers in creation on Earth. At least 300, 400 million years old.
Yeah, they estimate it to be between 275 and 325 million.
You might want to do your intro for your, like if you were doing a video, you might want to do your intro right there.
You're right. I'm gonna do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
So we're going to go to Chickies Rock next. And the way that, at least I saw a geological presentation, how it was explained, was Chickies Rock is perpendicular to the plane of the earth, but it used to be the floor of the river. And when what you're talking about, the reverberation of the eastern tectonic plate, when it hit back in, it pushed it straight up. So like this was the floor, and now it's like this. And so it's got a very, from a geological perspective, a big interest because people are able to go and look at part of the earth which would normally be submerged.
Yes.
So we'll go and we'll... Chickies Rock, you can see from right here. Do you see the face of the rock?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's Chickies Rock. We're going to go drive and we're going to walk a trail which is going to bring us towards where the furnaces is, near where the Route 30 bridge is.
Okay.
So if you come downstream from right
that's the
here,
Route 30 bridge.
This takes a 90-degree turn.
The river.
You can't really tell right now, but like that's the point right there. You can see
Where the house is?
yeah, where the last tree, like that's where it turns, and then where those wind turbines, it makes another 90-degree turn the other direction. So when you're in this area, there's like you can't see upstream or downstream.
See the wind turbine.
But we have this point of reference by sight. So that's High Point. The last place we're going to go is where
High
where
Point.
that green hill is without any trees.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go there from High Point to Chickies Rock to the Turkey Point, which is where Turkey Hill, if you know Turkey Hill ice cream, it's all from right there. Like that's where their dairy is. That's where their factory is. And then this is where the 40th parallel is. That's Route 30 bridge right there.
On Route 30 is the 40th parallel.
More or less, yeah. It's probably, we're going to cross the marker, and you'll see that it's 2-3 miles, like from 40 degrees, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, like that exact line.
And what is Chickies again?
Chickies is that
rock formation.
Exposed rock, yes, and that was the floor of the river. That was pushed up from the reverberation of the tectonic plate. It pushed that up.
Wow.
Like it slid underneath it. I don't know. Like I mean, I just heard a geologist give the
I got you.
This is what we saw in the distance.
You saw that. Well, the side which we saw in the distance was where the opening is, but this is the same. Same thing. And when we drove off of the highway and we drove up a hill, we drove up and over this.
You can feel that. Something coming off of that. You said destruction, huh? Well, If you say that something major made that stand straight up,
Right. So
few things that did get destroyed.
Something you want to destroy.
Wow, look at that. It's Chickies.
Okay. Come on, Ala. Where we going? Up there? Yeah. The Suki brother had the record for going up and down the pyramid at age 12. You know, he fly up in about 10 or 15 minutes, you know.
But that's Lancaster quartz.
I'm sorry?
A lot of that is Lancaster quartz. Those pieces that I gave out, I have all of it.
Is that way?
Yeah. But there was some near the water too.
Right.
I think that.
I bet you
that is.
Yeah. When we get to 2-minute car trip.
Okay.
We probably got like another 10, 15 minutes to walk
To
the
walk.
car.
All right.
So let's plan on half an hour.
All right.
We should,
Well, we're trying to beat the sun now.
yeah.
Yeah,
go.
let's make our move.
Let's make our move this far. Notice from the outside how it's like a square. It's right at it.
The Chickies furnace, which is an iron smelting furnace.
The stone pans. Over time.
Over time, we finished it off. We might have started chipping it. It looks like they were just filling in spots. You see, the brick is a.
Yeah, that's right. But that's a ring that goes all the way. Maybe they increased the height.
Over time.
Yeah.
This is original,
Right.
and maybe they just said, okay, we're in this new century, we're in this new age. Let's do what we can do to build it up again. What if it got destroyed in a battle or something? Because they were warring all up and down here too.
Yeah.
So what if it got destroyed and they said, well, we need at least one?
Right.
Now, the colonials, you figure they put this up or what? Who built?
Well, the story is this would have been built after Marietta. Marietta was founded on the furnace industry, and Marietta was said to be established in 1812.
Is this Coleman family?
Yes and no. Like, it says the Colemans aren't directly here, but it's like the difference between Bill Gates and Elon Musk or something.
So who built this up? The Fultons?
I think the Hadelmans. It's not
Hadelmans.
clear.
Okay,
Now,
yes,
wouldn't you
yes,
think
yes.
that they would have a board? Like, it wouldn't just be one decision. They would probably have a board, and since the families own the land in this area, you would have to sit and speak with other families and let them know what you were doing.
Yeah.
This is just interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, for real, it's like, did I just walk into one of those furnaces that the Germans had?
Huh.
That's what it first felt like.
I even wonder, like, was this an indigenous iron smelting site that was just kind of,
It would make sense because, like, this was the spot.
right,
The Susquehannocks could have lived anywhere. They lived
right.
here.
And I'm not familiar with European masonry that does not use mortar.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, it's no way
How you
that those bricks, because of the fact that there's mortar all in there, But
And
look
there's
at
none
these
around
stones.
there.
Yeah,
No.
that's not mortar. This
No,
is
original stone masonry. You don't even really need it. You just need to make sure that your stones fit together. It's a puzzle.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't be chipping out a brick. You would be chipping out, okay, I just need this notch to fit down a little more.
Yeah.
But you would get the most natural stone that you can.
Back and go to the top.
You can climb up to the top.
You could do. I thought you might would like to. I don't go down the top, but that's just me. I'm an old man.
Is it flat? Is it kind of flat?
What, up top?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not hard to get up if you want to.
No, I was wondering if it was built like a roof or is it just built up and filled in?
This does not look like it's the natural top of what was ever here. Yeah, I'll take a picture up here.
I don't think that it looks natural in general.
No, I'm saying whatever was built here,
Oh.
I don't think this was the top.
Okay.
It looks like there was more stones piled on top of this.
Right.
Like this visibility plate. And people don't see.
Mike, I don't have you in the video from up here. You gotta. All right, continue talking.
Walk in, take 40 steps, count your steps. Okay. And then when you get there, look to your right, and there's your tree. You do what, and you know, what you feel appropriate. I like to whisper, and I like to give a gift. That's me. I do it one at a time. That would be my recommendation. Tyson, can I get in the car for a second?
Whisper tree. Said it's an ear.
Wow, we're at the Whisper Tree. Natural ear formation. You can go and talk to the elements.
All 4 directions and the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
wow. Right, there's a dimension. There's the height dimension built in.
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom
Because we're
of
rising.
so-called almost a pyramid.
And there's our
Yeah, the yin and the yang. I'm gonna get the footage of this on the way out. Yeah, I got to make sure I got a chart. I'd be like, how did y'all get this job? I went to college. Ah, okay. So when I left the radio station, it was in my mind. Like I told you, I went on one tour across the country, and I said, as soon as I get done this tour, I'm going to school. And I went to Lincoln. And I started in the radio station because I wanted to.
So we're here at High Point, And from this, what appears to be an indigenous mound of significant height, you can see from an aerial vantage point where the Susquehanna makes two 90-degree turns. This is one angle, and here's where it makes a second. Here's where it makes a second 90-degree turn. And you see we're at 40.001 degree latitude. Yes, I. The 7 chapters, each one a key Rosicrucian. Starting with, who we start with? Jacob Boheme? And then run through Bacon and all them boys, Kelp, you know.
I can't wait to dig in.
Yeah, man, I'd love to hear some feedback from y'all too. Like once you got into it and digest some, like what are your thoughts? You know?
Mm-hmm.